Welcome to the podcast. I am Shane Barker, your host of Shane Barker's Marketing Madness podcast. Today we're going to be discussing the content marketing execution. My guest, Katie Lance, is the co-founder and CEO of Katie Lance Consulting. She's been working with agents and brokers for the past decade in helping them use social media the smart way. Listen as she discusses the various pillars of content marketing strategy and also learn about the challenges you may face during content marketing execution. We'll get this thing started. So why don't you tell us a little bit about where did you grow up? I mean, I think you're in California now, but did you originally grow up in California? Give us a little background.
Yeah, I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area, about an hour outside San Francisco, just in the suburbs, and lived kind of close to where I grew up, really. I lived in a lot of different areas, but my family's here in California, and, you can't beat the weather. So I think I'm a California girl for sure.
Yeah, I hear you. So I'm in Sacramento, California right now, and I teach at UCLA, so I'm down in Southern California, but I love Northern California, just the weather and just everything about it. My brother lives in San Francisco as well, him and his wife. So
Nice.
We're in San Francisco actually quite a bit, or at least the San Francisco area. I love Sacramento because it's a nice little hub, and I can go jump into the crazy San Francisco life or go down to LA and live that life or go to the beach or whatever.
Yeah.
And I can come back here what's a little cheaper and a little more economical. But
Yeah.
but I do love the Bay Area for sure. That's like, it doesn't get anything better when it comes to funding and startups and
Absolutely.
a lot of good stuff happening out there for sure.
Yep.
What about your family? So you obviously grew up in the Bay Area. Like, did you have a pretty big family, small family? Like, kind of give us a little background.
Well, my extended family is pretty large. So I just have one brother. My parents are sort of like the Leave It to Beaver family. They've been married forever. So I've been very blessed.
Yeah.
I have a younger brother. He's 6 years younger than me. But my dad has a really big family. He's one of 12. So
Wow.
On my dad's side, I have 70 or 80 cousins and extended family members. And it's kind of a small army whenever we get together, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's funny, we have some parallels. My brother is 6.5 years younger than me, and we were the only two in our family, just in regards to brother-sister type thing.
Mm-hmm.
God, that's crazy. So your dad's side was producing. They were out there literally producing, like, having the kids pumping them out. So
Right.
our family reunions just like insane. Like, you guys have to rent out like Montana or something like this. Montana, or how does that work?
Yeah, it's a little crazy. We actually try to do family reunions once a year. I don't think we're doing one this year, but we try to do one every year, and it's actually pretty fun. We have a family talent show we've been doing for 20 years, and it's all in good fun. Some people, break out their guitars, and some people are, doing lip syncs, little skits, and, it's fun to see the kids up there, but it's just a great time. And I think a lot of it came from my grandparents who have since passed away, but, they just really instilled the importance of family. And to be honest with you, that's really how I think about our life and our business and why we run our own business. Why am I an entrepreneur?
Yeah, for sure.
Is for that quality of life and that family time. So it's important.
That's awesome. I mean, I tell you, I'm a little jealous of you. I mean, it's having that instilled, I think, is invaluable. And the fact that you guys have like talent shows, I think is awesome for kids. Because, I think it's, when you're kids and just everything, it's getting up on stage or doing something is always kind of a daunting task. But if you start with family, I think if you start kids off young, out there performing and doing stuff or feeling comfortable, whatever it is, expressing yourself, I think there's some huge value in that. So it's awesome you guys are doing that internally, because most kids don't get an opportunity for that. And when they do, it's like, you're in college and they're like,
Right.
Hey, you get this speech, and you're like, oh my God, like I've never we're close to a stage. Now what do I do?
Yeah.
You guys are starting them off early. That's awesome.
We try to. They don't have a choice, really,
Yeah, but I think that's cool though, because if anything, you can. And it's also nice to see other people do it. And you're like, hey, Uncle Larry kind of messed up a little bit. And he's human, right? So like, I can jump up there and do something. It's, I can't be too far off from that. Or,
Right.
Uncle Larry's drunk and he fell, or whatever the deal is, right? Whatever Uncle Larry. Everybody has an Uncle Larry in their family.
Everybody. At least one. We probably have 2 or 3 of those.
Yeah, maybe one you don't know about. It's
There you
been reached out. But so tell us, other than the family reunions that you're having and the talent shows, like what's another interesting fact about your family? Is there anything fun that you're like, a lot of people don't know this, other than your dad's side was producing a lot more than your mom's side? Is there anything else, anything fun, any fun facts?
I think right now, we obviously, my husband and I were married. We have 2 kids, or 2 boys. Our boys are 8 and 11. And so, we're sort of knee deep in that, just living the life with sports and school. And my youngest is in Cub Scouts, and my oldest is really involved in baseball. So I would say a lot of our lifetime is spent in, those like fold up camp chairs, by the sideline. There's, a gazillion videos on my phone of my kids, and so lots of sports, lots of activities, and which is fun. My husband volunteers a lot. He's been a coach for our kids, and so we just try to do a lot of family stuff. Probably not that exciting, but it's just I just feel like our kids are only little ones, and time flies by so fast. My oldest is going to middle school, which is crazy to me. So we just try to really make the most of our time together. We really love just hanging out and having our family time.
There's nothing wrong with it. I think that's awesome. I think there's too many people out there that focus more on their career and less on their kids. I mean, I'll tell you, it does fly fast. And I remember my grandma, this was a long time ago, and she's like, just so you know, Shane, like, you're going to all of a sudden, you're going to be 25 years old. And I was like, oh, grandma, you're so cute. Or, it's like, whatever.
Yeah.
And then it's over. Like, I'm not over, but I mean, it just happened so fast. Like my son he's in his third year of college.
Wow. Yeah.
I don't even know how to handle that. Like when he's like, yeah, we're going off to college. I'm like, God, you're going off to college? Like, it's so hard. Like, I still look at him as like this 10-year-old kid, It's like, it's hard for me to really like make that transition in my mind of like really what's going on. And it's kind of nuts to me, but yeah, you have to take advantage of this time. And so my son was really heavily active in sports. So we were the chair, when you talk about the chairs and all this,
all the equipment and
yeah, like just, we had like an SUV that was just constantly going and he did a lot of competitive stuff as well. So we would be like, oh, going down to San Diego wasn't an issue. We would just go to, or we go to Reno or go wherever. And it's all with these hubs of these tournaments. And it was fun with the families and stuff. There is a part of me that misses that. And there's another part of me, like on the weekends, I'm like, I don't even know what to do. I mean, I work. Like now, once that's gone, that's out of your life. I'm like, what am I going to do with my red cup now? Like I'm so confused on what this next step is in my life. But
yes, that's true.
It's good you're taking advantage of it, as you should. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a season, it's like this small season in your life. And so.
Well, it's a season till it's the next season. I mean, what I mean is like, and my son, every season had something. It was baseball and he was doing rugby.
Right.
And it was like, soccer, but it was fun. Good times for sure. I mean, it's good to keep them focused because, you don't want to, if they don't have anything to do, then it's, then they're on their iPad all day long.
Exactly.
Sports are good. So you said you live in the Bay. Where are you at in the Bay Area right now?
We're in Pleasanton.
Pleasanton.
Yes.
Awesome. I used to.
Very pleasant.
Yeah. In past life, I used to open restaurants for Chevy's Mexican Restaurant. This was many years ago. And we opened one up I think in Pleasant, maybe in San Ramon. It was in San Ramon, over in that area. So I'm very familiar with that area in the sense that I was like stuck to a hotel and, opening the restaurant. But yeah, I like that area. Actually, there's a lot of cool stuff out there for sure.
That's funny. I think I know exactly where that San Ramon Chevy's was. I'm pretty sure I went there a few times.
Yeah. I was there. I opened it for them and I was doing trainings and all kinds. I would put together their systems that they would have for their point of sale systems. So they called me Squirrel Boy because it was a squirrel. The squirrel was their POS system they used. So anyways, I probably shouldn't have told you they call me Squirrel Boy because it sounds super weird when somebody calls you Squirrel Boy. That's super awesome, but it is what it is. It was my nickname at that time. Yeah. So where did you go to college at?
I went to school in Long Beach. I went to Cal State Long Beach and, wanted to kind of get away from the Bay Area, wanted to still stay in California and kind of be close enough to home where if I needed to, I could drive home in 6 hours, and wanted to be by the beach. I remember, kind of embarrassingly thinking back to, being 17 and going, oh, the word beach is in the school. That must be like a really cool school to go to, and didn't quite have the grades to get into like UCLA or anything like that. But yeah, Cal State Long Beach, go beach. We're the 49ers.
That's good. Yeah. It's funny. So like so my son goes to Chico State. And so I think as in you were like fascinated with the beach and the name, my son, I think like literally, I think he went on YouTube and looked up the biggest party schools and it was like, I want to go to University of Arizona. And I'm like, why would you pick that college other than you probably Googled it?
Yeah.
And then Chico State was the other one. And I used to own a bar in Chico, which is another conversation. And so it's just kind of interesting that because, here we go. It's one of those like, it's a big party school. I mean, every school is a party school, but yeah. That was for him. That was impressionable for sure.
Oh, that's funny.
What did you study in college? What was your degree?
Communications.
Yeah.
So I was a business major for a long time, but I quickly realized what I like about business was marketing. Right, I like the fun part of business. When it came to like calculus and statistics, I was like, this is just a whole nother language here. And so towards the end, I met with a counselor and they're like, you should just switch to communications. And so I like literally switched at the last minute. I like did the entire degree, I think in like, I don't know, 3 semesters or something crazy, or 2.5. It was ridiculous. I just sort of flew through it. And I was like, these are my people.
Yeah,
Where have you been the last 4 years? So,
man.
it's one of those degrees that, can go with a lot of different things. And it's, ironic because, what I'm doing right now, obviously I'm a speaker and just doing a lot of stuff with our business and everything. So although our business is social media, and social media did not really exist when I was in college,
Yeah.
Those communications, just skills you learn there. I mean, it was, priceless. It goes with anything that you do.
Applicable for sure. Absolutely. Well, that's funny. It's like, I think most of the people that I interview, what they did in college is not what they do now, right? Because there wasn't like content marketing and hey, social media. There wasn't like SEO and all this other stuff, right? Even influencers, like it's kind of this new deal. So it's interesting. Like the amount that I used from my college experience is like minimal because I'd learned most of my stuff from just being online and grinding it out and doing stuff. So, and that's 20 plus years now. So it's kind of think about that. But how did you jump into the digital marketing side of things? Like, how was your transition? Like, what was your transition out of college? So what happened there?
Well, I got a job in college and I started working for Cutco for vector marketing, which a lot of college kids work for Cutco. I sold knives.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. I worked my way all the way through college selling Cutco, which for people who don't know, it's like a direct selling company. So we would make appointments, go into people's homes, kind of like Tupperware, right? But it was kind of the one-to-one direct sales. And it was awesome because as a college kid, I could set my own schedule. I could make a lot of money, have that like sort of freedom. And I got a ton of great marketing experience, which looking back, it's like, if you can go into people's homes and sell knives and cutlery, you can do just about anything. And so I did that for a number of years. And then I graduated and I got into their management program and opened an office for them and did a whole bunch of recruiting and recruiting and retention and built a team and did all kinds of stuff. So it kind of became this little college job that turned into really kind of my first big career after college. And that's really where I kind of fell in love with marketing, and just learned a lot of, again, sort of life skills, like the value of building rapport, the value of building value when you're trying to sell something, just sort of basic sales skills that I think are so valuable with anything that you do. And I still apply a lot of what I learned there to what we do on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, I think that's funny. So Cutco, like, and this is my pun, right, runs deep in my family. So that was my one joke that I'll do on the podcast. But the funny part is like my wife's dad is like a Cutco fanatic. Like he, obviously, like you can return the knives and they'll sharpen them for you and they'll send them back. Like their service. And what he does is he'll go and because he does a lot of like these, go to like art, antique shows and all this kind of stuff. People get rid of these knives and not know what they are. And here, I'll just give them for $2.
Yeah.
You'll get it for $2. So get it refurbished. And now you've got a $80 knife in front of you. So has like sets and sets of these knives. Like if he passes away, which I'm hoping he doesn't, but probably in the next 20 years when he does, we're going to have like layers and layers of full sets of Cutco knives. Like
that's awesome.
Comes to Cutco. Yeah. Like he might be your number one, maybe not, he wouldn't have been your number one seller because he's going to find the discounted ones,
right?
But he's definitely an advocate. So we have like Cutco knives forever. Like they are everywhere. Like
they're pretty awesome.
Yeah, if we were to get in a knife fight with the neighbors, they would lose. Like, not that I'm advising that, but I'm just telling you, we would definitely win. We have a lot more knives. I don't know if I'd be as good with them, but who knows? I mean, not that I'm looking to get into a fight with the neighbors, but so you went into Cutco, and then you transitioned from Cutco, and then when did you start your company? Your own company that you had, the Kitty Lance consulting company. Was that after Cutco, or like what else happened in that transition?
So that wasn't until 2012. So there was a lot of time between college and me kind of going out on my own. But I will say, working for Cutco, when you are a Cutco rep, you're an independent consultant. And even when you are a branch and district manager, you're an independent contractor. So to me, that was never a scary thing. I remember being, 18, 19 years old and thinking, this is amazing. Like, there's this income opportunity and entrepreneurial. The harder I work, the more I make. Like that concept, I was like, that's me. And I think that was really formative. I mean, as I think from when I left that to some of the other positions I had over the years, I worked in retail for a number of years, and then I worked for a real estate company for a number of years. Every kind of step kind of took me to step up and up and up as everyone kind of goes with life. And, it was just interesting. I just think about sort of that whole trajectory. And when I worked for other companies, I mean, I think I was always kind of the person that tried to treat my job as if it was my own company. almost to a fault, where it's like, okay, turn the off button off. Like, you're not getting paid enough to do this. It's not your company, and just caring. And my last job before I went out on my own, I worked for a company called Inman News. And Inman is kind of like it's kind of a Wall Street Journal, but for the real estate industry. It's a really well-known media company, and I got hired to do a lot of their marketing. And so that kind of really positioned me in the real estate space, which is who we serve right now with our company. And I got hired to be a marketing director, but then quickly transitioned to like social media director. This is probably right around like 2008, 2009, when social media was really exploding, especially for business. And I remember working with this media company going, you have so much content. We got to get it on Facebook. We got to get this on Twitter. So worked for them for a number of years. It was an amazing experience, and worked my way up to the company, and just kind of came to a point where I was just having babies and having kids and just wanting a little bit more of that quality of life and sort of freedom and flexibility. And so 2012, I decided to take the leap and go out on my own, and really kind of transition from being an employee. Then I became a contractor and a consultant for Inman, and then brought on a number of different clients. And I have to say there was a lot of sort of fake it till you make it. Didn't quite know exactly what I was doing, but I knew I was good at social media. I knew I was good at helping companies grow that and develop their voice online, and was just really passionate about the whole idea. I thought, this is what an amazing opportunity. And I think part of that was because back in my Cutco experience, how hard I had seen everybody working before email, before social media, before websites. Yeah. And it's like, oh my gosh, well, now there's so many opportunities. Like, this is so easy.
They're just handing it to you. Well, right. Cutco too is, and I think this is invaluable, and I've talked about this in other podcasts, is just knocking on doors really, really makes it so that you're a salesperson. You really understand psychology and how people are, and working with people. Like, I remember I used to do calls for mortgage for my buddy's mortgage company, and I was kicking and screaming every day that I would go to work. That really helped me like fine tune how to talk to people and how to work with people and the psychology of it, and how to sell things and understand selling the value over the product. And there's just a lot of things that I think come to that you don't think about. I mean, we think about because we did it, but I just think there's some value that they don't understand. Like, my son was painting, like he was painting, he was selling painting services. Mm-hmm. And my wife's like, yeah, but he's not really making that much money. I go, yeah, but what's invaluable is the fact that he's knocking on doors and he's selling these services.
Exactly.
Right. And it's like 1,000 people that slam the door in his face, say, no, we don't want it. Then he gets that one person and says, yeah, I want it. And then he gets excited about it and thinks, okay, what did I do differently with this one that I did with the other one?
Exactly.
Right. And so I think there's huge value in that. I don't think you can, grinding it out like that, because it is a grind, right? Yeah. Knock those doors, it's like, oh man, hopefully this is awesome. Like, oh, hey, go. Okay, great, not awesome.
Right.
So, and this is the thing I want to talk about. So Inman, now I'm trying to think how big the company was when you were there. I had some friends that used to work there. In fact, Rachel Gregg.
Yeah. I used to work with Rachel. That's so funny. What a small world.
My brother's Justin Barker. And
really? Your brother's Justin? Oh my gosh. Yeah.
That's my brother. Like when you were saying, when I saw that thing, I thought, I think we're going to have some connections here.
That's so funny.
Rachel and Justin are like best friends. Yeah. And I've known Rachel forever. So she's married to Dre, obviously. And as a kid, she's in Sacramento. Now they moved to Amsterdam.
Yeah.
I bought her car when she left. So that's
really?
With that. Yeah. She's family. And my brother, obviously, lives in San Francisco and was over at Creative Live and done some other stuff. But I knew that he was working with you guys, or at least worked on some projects. And so done some video work for you guys. So anyways, I just thought this was going to be, I knew this was going to be.
Some of my very first videos I did with Inman were with Justin. Some of the first time I was ever on camera was with Justin. So that's so
those Barker boys. You got to watch out. We're everywhere. We're multiplying. Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. That's so funny.
Small world. So tell us a little bit. So with your consulting company you started in 2012, like tell us a little bit some of the services that you guys provide. Like, what do you guys do? I know some social media stuff, but really kind of drill down a little bit so I get an idea of, like, if anybody's listening and you're saying, hey, this is the kind of stuff that we do and this would be a good client for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I have to say too, it's been an evolution. we're going it'll be our eighth year anniversary in October. And I think, like any company, you kind of evolve. I remember when we first started out, I felt like I had this idea, and then if you don't quite know exactly what you're doing, there's like I said, a lot of sort of fake it till you make it, and like, let's throw this against the wall and see if it sticks. And that's where a lot of, I would say, that Cutco experience came into play, where I would put together proposals, and I was selling myself. And I'm like, look, I may not be the smartest person in the room, but I'm going to out hustle everybody. I'm going to work harder, and make it happen. So when we first started our business, we were doing, I would say, about 100%. I mean, most of our business was consulting. We were consulting with brokerages, franchises, mortgage companies, helping them get smarter about social media, working with their leadership team. And our business has really evolved over the years. And right now, there's really kind of three big parts of our business. The first is speaking. So I speak at a lot of conferences, especially in real estate and mortgage. It's just kind of where I become known, I guess, in terms of social media. So that's a lot of fun, teaching. The second is still consulting. So we've scaled back a lot on our consulting, and we really learned that we want to work with people that we really want to work with, who are ready to work with. So we don't do any one-on-one coaching, but we still work with brokerages, franchises, mortgage companies, builders, anyone who has got that company presence and they're just feeling like, I feel like our social media presence is just not where it should be. We'll come in for a day or two, or we'll go on retainer for a few months and just work with their leadership team. We won't do it for you, but we'll work with you on putting that plan together, and we'll do an audit and tell you what's right and what's wrong and what we could do better, and we'll help you hire the right people. And so that's something we love doing. I love just kind of like rolling up our sleeves and going, okay, what's going on? Let's peel back the curtain, So that's a lot of fun. And then the last piece of our business is we have an online academy. We launched our Get Social Smart Academy a few years ago to serve individual agents who maybe they want to work with us, but we're just out of their price point and they need that training. They want that education. And we just found there's obviously tons of stuff out there about social media on YouTube, Google, but a lot of stuff's out of date and a lot of stuff has nothing to do with real estate. So, we developed that as kind of an online learning library, kind of like the Netflix for real estate social media. So that's been really fun. And it's been awesome to see our Academy members grow and learn and figure all this stuff out, because stuff changes all the time.
Yeah. And then when you have the academy, so I'm assuming you guys have like some videos and some training stuff.
Yeah.
Do you guys actually have like a kind of communicate and say, hey, this is what we've got going on. We've seen this work. We've seen this not work.
Yeah. That's probably my favorite part of our academy. When someone signs up for our academy, they can sign up month to month, or they can sign up for a year, whatever they want to do. We're very low key about there's no contracts, sign up, whatever. And once they sign up, they get access to all of our videos and webinars and training and everything. Like I said, it's a lot like Netflix, so they can access everything. But I think that my favorite part is our community. So we have a private Facebook group just for our Academy members. And I'm in there every week. I do something called Coffee with Katie, which is kind of like what we're doing here, and I jump in for a half an hour or so and do weekly Q&A with our members. And we have lots of special guests that come in and we'll interview them. And it's become a really cool community where people really help each other, because we have agents from all over the world. So someone will say, okay, I just tried this new app. Have any of you tried this? Or like, this is my first video I've ever done. What do you guys think before I put it on Facebook or, Instagram or whatever? So it's fun. It's neat. I think it's neat. I think there's just a lot of, people get nervous, especially when it comes to social media. They don't want to look stupid. They don't want to mess up. They want to have a good presence. And so having a community of other people who are like in that same boat, I think it's important.
That's awesome. So, we touched on this a little bit before we started the podcast, that I actually flip properties myself. So I have a real estate company where we flip properties. I invest in properties and we do that. So, and it's funny. So I'm actually just hiring somebody to do our social media and really be kind of like a VA for ongoing business. We just opened another office. It's a long story. So I'm probably going to be reaching out to you about that academy, because I would love to get some training. I can train somebody, obviously, but I think it'd be nice I can train them about this, and I know enough about real estate to be dangerous, but there's not as much value as it would be for a community that's getting there doing it every single day. So I might reach out to you here soon and, see what we can do about getting my new VA that I'm going to be hiring that's going to be working on it full time for that. So that's awesome. That's kind of good to know.
That'd be awesome. We'd love to have him or her.
Yeah. I know we're not sure who they are yet, but they're going to be putting this out there. I've got some resumes that are coming my way right now. So
nice.
So you touched on, you said the Get Social Smart community. So obviously ties back to your book. So tell us a little bit about the book that you wrote and why you wrote it, and kind of give us some background there.
Yeah. I really drill into like what my philosophy is when it comes to social media. I don't think social media is the end all and be all. I don't think it's a silver bullet. I don't think it'll ever replace a phone call or a handshake or a handwritten note. I just think when done right, it can build relationships. It can make those relationships and contacts even stronger. And, obviously we work with a lot in the real estate space, but regardless of whatever business that you're in, when done right, it can just really make a huge impact on your business. And I think the challenge for a lot of people, especially if they're an entrepreneur or a small business owner or in real estate, is that it can be a real big time suck, and people, they hop on Facebook or they hop on their phone. We've seen this because they're bored. They have nothing else to do, or they're trying to kill time, or they're like in an awkward elevator, whatever it might be. And so we just really kind of drilled into the fact, like, look, you don't need to spend all day on social media. I'm in the business of social media, and I'm not on social media all day long. So if you only have a few minutes a day or whatever that might be, what does that plan look like? How can you get really intentional about connecting with your prospects, your customers, your clients, to build those relationships, because that's what business is all about, is relationships. And then secondly, how do you attract the people you want to work with through social media versus always chasing leads? And so that's a big thing that we teach, in our consulting, but also in our academy, this idea of attracting clients, which also means, by the way, that some people won't want to work with you, right? They'll see you on Instagram, they'll see your videos, and they're like, I don't know about that guy. But then there's other people who are like, that guy's awesome, right? Like when they're ready to work with you, when you're doing it right, when they're ready to work with you, they're ready to work with you, right? They're not calling around, interviewing 12 different people. So that was kind of the philosophy behind the book, is building relationships, getting intentional, and attracting those right clients. And that's kind of where our academy came from. And then we said, we got to put this all together in a book, because, selfishly, I love books. I love to actually read a book and mark it up. And I'm like, we need a book. So that's kind of where it came from.
I love the fact of making it intentional. I think the issue with social media is that it's very easy to get sucked into the matrix.
Yes.
Right. You start looking at this and looking at that. And then on YouTube, and 3 hours later, you're like, I just watched 48 cat videos. Like, right. Like, what just happened? Like, where did my life just go? It is if you put that plan together, the 5, 10, 15-minute plan, hey, I'm going to spend 10 minutes on Instagram, but it's not going to be just looking at cats. It's going to be like being intentional with what your purpose is, right? Like, what is my goal? My goal is to comment on other real estate people, or to look at the people in the market, or do whatever that is. But once again, knowing that what is your goal that you have in mind for that, and right, because it's once again easy to get pulled into the matrix and pulled down the rabbit's tunnel and a funnel, and find and then obviously you come out and you're like, I did absolutely nothing. I tell you, it's a sobering moment for me, and I'm on my phone a lot, is that when I get now Apple actually sends me a thing on how much time I spend on my phone.
Yeah, the screen time report.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times I've been like, oh, I want to look at that. I mean, obviously I'm on my phone, like when I work out, when I walk. And so mine is intentional in the sense that I'm doing stuff and, trying to get out there. But it doesn't have to be daunting. I think that's the biggest thing, is like people who go, oh my God, there's 50 different platforms and I got to be on them all. You don't though, right? It doesn't need to be. You just have to figure out where you want to be. Like, if you want to go do video, that's awesome. But if you absolutely hate the way that you look on video and you can't get over that, then probably you shouldn't do video, right? I mean, you got to figure out what your medium is. Like, where do you feel comfortable? And I think the biggest issue, we've talked about this in past podcasts, is literally just getting started, right? It really just comes down to that. It's like, on your first video, are you going to look ugly? You're going to look weird? You're not going to like, wait, yes. Like, there's the only answer to that is yes. Like, right, when you put out your first piece of content, if you're a perfectionist, is it going to be perfect? No. Yeah. It's like one of those things, if you go with it with an intention, hey, now we have a plan of why we're doing this, producing content, whatever that is. Yeah. Then the idea of like, then you're managing your time better, because I think that's one of the biggest hard things, especially when you're an entrepreneur or you're an agent. You're looking at this thing and going, well, I got to spend some time here, but I got to figure out how much time I'm going to spend there and on what platform and where is this. It's also, I think that the academy you've developed is something to help people say, hey, listen, this is where we've seen successes. So great, now it makes sense. That's where we should probably spend our time, because we're this type of agent. Right. And when we talk about agents, you guys also do, because like I said, I do fix and flips. So do you guys also do stuff like fix and flips? Is it all kind of like just an overall real estate community, or is it mainly just people that sell properties? Like, kind of give us a little breakdown. It's primarily full-time residential real estate agents. We have a lot of brokers as well, though, broker owners. We have a fair amount of sort of marketing folks, social media people, VAs, as you mentioned, who might work for an agent or work for a brokerage or work for, someone. We have some people who do property management, but I would say primarily probably 70-75%. It's full-time, residential agents or brokers. And I would say probably the big thing that we really try to focus on with the people who are in our academy is that they're very relationship focused, which I think is great, because when it comes to real estate, for a lot of people, unless you're flipping, for a lot of people, when you buy a house, it's one of the biggest moments of your life, right? Sure. It's right up there with getting married or having kids. And I think for a lot of the people that we tend to attract in our academy are people who really do love what they're doing. They're in this business for a long time. They're the kind of people who do send the handwritten notes, and they do call on your birthday, and they send the holiday cards, but maybe they've gotten to the point where they're like, gosh, I gotta get a hand on this social media thing, Yeah. And which I think is actually perfect, because at the heart of social media is relationships. It's not just
spamming your friends
Yeah.
to buy something. It's like, it's the
Yeah.
relationship. So I would say that's probably the biggest demographic, is those kind of full-time people who,
Yeah.
really relationship focused versus like getting all the leads. And there's nothing wrong with like getting a lot of leads. It's I think, I don't know, a little bit of a different mindset.
Yeah. And I think that's
Yeah.
important because naturally those leads will come if you're educating people, right? And if you're once you put yourself out there, naturally you'll start to see those kind of people coming in, and they're going to start, if you can educate them, and then naturally if they're going to go buy a property, they're going to go do something, say, well, I've been listening to Katie for the last 2 years, and that would be the person I naturally would work with. But I know the reason for this podcast we were talking about is like the content marketing execution made easy, right? So that was kind of the premise of this. So I want to kind of touch on that a little bit in regards to like, what do you think the steps are to implement like a successful content marketing strategy? Like in your mind, if you're, talking with a client and you're saying, hey, to be successful, these are the 3 pillars or 4 pillars. Like what in your mind, what would you usually educate clients on to be able to be successful?
Well, one thing we really usually talk about is this idea of creating pillar content. Pillar content is typically something that costs a little bit of time, money, and energy.
Right.
And, it could be blog content. Like you said, if someone just absolutely does not want to be on video, it could be blog content. I am pretty partial to video content though, because I think, as there's nothing like hearing you, seeing you. I think that's obviously super powerful. Podcast content, as we're doing right now, podcasts are just exploding. And I think there's a lot of great opportunity for podcast content. And then there's like Facebook Live or any kind of like live broadcasting. So we usually look at whether it's a big company or you're a solopreneur or whatever it might be, looking at out of those 4, blogging, video, live video, podcasting, which one of those is a piece of content that you could commit to creating on a regular basis. And by regular, it could be at first at least once a month, but ideally a couple times a month, and even better, once a week, right?
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
With pillar content, it's content that is timeless, typically evergreen content. So for real estate, it's not necessarily like, how's the market this week? That's going to change, but it's more of how do I get my home ready for the market, and how to find a realtor, and how to find a lender, and why should I stage my home, and all these questions that we get asked. Yeah. So I usually will start with a client and ask them, like, what are the questions you get asked all the time? What are those topics of conversation that come up all the time on phone calls and email? Those questions where you think to yourself, seriously, if I get asked that one more time, right?
Yeah.
And and literally if you just take out a pen and a notepad, you could probably sit down and think of 20, 30 topics pretty quickly of things that you get asked all the time. And so that's always, I think, a really good place to start, is thinking about your content and then thinking about a system for that. And I love video. As I said, I love the whole idea of hearing you and seeing you. I think there's a lot of power in that. And we also teach this idea of batch creating your content. So if you sit down and go, okay, great, I'm going to do video, and I'm going to put out a new video once a week, that can feel really daunting. But if you sit down and, I always say if I'm going to do my hair and makeup, I might as well, not just record one video, but I might as well bust out 5 or 6.
Yeah, you're there.
Right. And so you kind of think about that, getting that into a system. And then it's about taking that content and slicing and dicing it, right? And repackaging it. Like this podcast is probably going to get turned into a small little Instagram post or an Instagram story. It'll maybe go up on YouTube. It might go on Facebook and might get shared again on Facebook in 3 months. Like, you repurpose it in a lot of ways. So as you start big with kind of your pillar content, how that's going to get broken up. And then you can fill it in with other stuff, things that happen in the moment, or motivational quotes, or little things that might be relevant to your business.
Yeah, I think that's really what it comes down to. Is I love the fact of creating one big piece of content and then slicing it up.
Yeah.
Because that's another thing I've seen. You can do a podcast interview and you can turn that into a blog post. You can cut it up and, like you said, put it on YouTube. You can do anything with it, right? That's why I use Zoom, not that they're a sponsor or anything, but because I can get video and audio. And then that means I can cut it up and put it wherever I want. So that's the thing, is it can come in. You can have a piece of content you can slice into so many different things. You just got to figure out how you're going to do that. And I love the batching idea of content. And same with my podcast. Mondays and Fridays are my time to interview for my podcast. So I try to get, I love podcast interviews, but I'll get 3 done in a Monday, and I'm just like, whew, man, I'm glad I made it through that.
Right, it's a lot.
At the end of my video, I'm like, like things in my eyes. I'm like, wow, you look like you're a little tired. I'm like, no, I'm talking a lot, which is pretty natural for me. But
yeah.
So when we talk about the content strategies, what do you think, what are the biggest challenges that you think, for your clients and other clients, is when it comes to actually executing a content strategy? What do you think the big hiccup is?
I think there's a few things. I think there's always what should I talk about? And then there's those doubts of do people really care? Is that really interesting? And I really think when it comes to content marketing, there's a couple things. Being informative is really important. If you can be entertaining, that's great. If you can be funny, that's great. But a lot of us are not entertaining or funny. But if you can be informative, that's really, really valuable. So kind of getting over the who's going to care. Well, if you've had clients or customers ask you these questions, somebody cares, somebody has those questions, and that's going to be you want to be that person that's going to give that value to people. They may not be in the market right now, but as they see you and they see your content, if you're a realtor and you're putting out content about real estate and the industry and housing and home decor, you've got people who are watching you. And those people have friends, and they have friends of friends, And so just sort of staying top of mind. I'd also say a big challenge is people get kind of hung up in the execution part of it. Like, how should I record it? And what kind of equipment? And some people just kind of fall into this analysis paralysis where they want it to look amazing, and they're not going to execute it until everything is ready. And what I always try to tell people is, look, done is better than perfect.
Yeah.
And your first few videos, as you said, are probably going to suck. Like, they're probably not going to be that great, but it's just like anything. You've got to put yourself out there. And even if you just got a phone, I mean, I think about, we do a video once a week. It's the Get Social Smart Show. It's on YouTube. And I think we're on episode 130 or something. Well, the first 99 episodes, were shot on my phone, And it was honestly only recently that I'm like, oh, I should get a light. I should get a microphone. Like, if I had waited, I would have lost, 2 years worth of doing it. So sometimes you just got to get over yourself.
Well, that's the thing is that, you touched on this, like the technology we have, like literally it's a tripod on your iPhone. Like the thing is people get into this, once again, it needs to be perfect. So I need the best camera. I need this. I need to invest in this. And it has to be perfect microphone. It's like, no, you can go buy a $30 microphone that sounds epic. Like, you don't need to buy the $5,000 microphone, right? And I think that's what happens and I think naturally people want the best results. So they assume like, hey, I got to wait. And it's also a thing because I think they're scared to death, right? So I got to get everything in place. And when you get all the best equipment, you're like, are you ready? You're like, I don't know. What are we going to talk about now? It's like, no, it doesn't have to be that crazy, right? It's the idea to start and just to get it going. And, will suck. Your first one will suck. Like I promise you. And but it'll only get better over time. And so, but it's actually putting yourself out there. I mean, right now you have 2 years of traction that you wouldn't have had if you said, I need the perfect camera, because you would have waited for so long, right?
Yeah.
That's the deal. It's like now it's up and going and great. Now you're tweaking some stuff to make it better, but you have an audience, you have that community that you've built. So I think that's important for like, good takeaways. Like at the end of the day, just get started. Like get it going. You don't need no more excuses. You've got an iPhone, you've got an Android, you've got plenty. You got a $10 app that you can go and whatever it is, and it's out there. It can happen.
And also, I would say too, like I think a lot of people think, well, a lot of people are doing video, a lot of people are doing podcasts, right? Which is true. However, most people don't stick with something very long. I'm sure you've seen this. Like I hear people all the time, hey, I'm starting a company. And then like 6 months later, they're like, that didn't work out. So I'm going to go work for X, Y, and Z. Or I'm starting a podcast. Well, I did 4 episodes and then I got busy. Like most people do not stick with something. I hate to say it, but like if you're someone who can stick with something, like you're ahead of the game right there.
Yeah. Well, it is consistency. I mean, I think that, it comes down to that. And all you have to do is you have to out hustle the next person.
Yeah.
Most of those people, if they don't see traction right away, you do a podcast, do podcasts or do YouTube. I've done 7 videos and only have 7 subscribers. It's like, well, okay, but you have to realize that everybody started there. Like you're not going to take off virally because of your real estate video. Like just right unless you do something totally outlandish, and then you're probably becoming viral for the wrong reasons.
Right.
It's consistency, right? It's a frequency of that and consistency of that. And most people won't run that race.
Yeah.
Right. And if you can run that race and, and be consistent with it, that's the hardest part. I mean, it is. It's just, I don't know. That is definitely the difficult part. So we talk about companies that like, what are some of the companies that you look at and you go, God, like they do an amazing job at content. Like there's some companies you look at them and you're like, God, when I get older, I want to be like that company. An epic job. Any companies that come to mind?
Well, most recently, I've been really enamored with, this might sound funny, but the New York Public Library. They're doing some amazing stuff with content marketing and social media. I was just following what they were doing on Instagram, and they actually have turned complete novels into Instagram stories, which is crazy. Their whole, mission is like obviously getting people to read more and, literacy and everything. And so if you go to their Instagram account and you look at their highlights, the other cool thing is they've saved their stories into their highlights. So you can, I think right now they have like 8 or 10 literally full novels inside their Instagram stories. The first one I think was Alice in Wonderland, and then they did a few other classics. And just to see visually, you think to yourself, what's a big deal? You convert a book into an Instagram story, but just like what that actually looks like, how to show people how to go through it and read it. It's really fascinating and it's beautiful. And they've developed a huge following for people who love New York. They love, literacy, they love reading. And so that would be one to check out for sure.
And they've taken usually a boring subject of library. You think of Helen, the the glasses and it's like, oh, I don't want to be at the library. And
Right.
half the kids listening to this probably don't even know what a library is. Awesome. They've taken a subject that is usually unsexy and have now made it something where they're pulling in the right type of people.
Yeah.
The Instagram stories, like they're actually doing the full novels.
Full novels.
Wow.
It's just crazy. Yeah. And so they literally, with their graphics team, they've, basically reformatted the entire story into that vertical format. And, there's a few things in there, like they have this little button on each page that says tap here to hold, because with Instagram stories, it just, goes for every 15 seconds. So it's like a prompt for people to hold. And then they have a lot of interactive graphics throughout the novel as well. So it's literally a work of art. It's beautiful. And, I was reading an article and I can't remember where it was, but just about the impact that has had on the growth, like the sort of the business reason behind that. I mean, they've had tens of thousands of new followers from all over the world. In fact, I think it's probably closer to hundreds of thousands of new followers from all over the world who've been, attracted to what they're doing. And so, growing their engagement and all that good stuff. So really cool to see.
And so that wasn't just, we'll reiterate, they started something and it probably took them a little while to get it going, but now it's bearing fruit for them, right? It's one of those like, hey, maybe they've been doing it for the last year and now they're even better than just people going. Now they have people talking about it, right? We're talking about it right now.
Yeah.
And that's the exposure you're looking for, right? Because now you have more and more people talking about it. They're going to get interviews. And usually, 2 years ago, we wouldn't have been talking about the New York Library. I can pretty much promise you that, right? Like now it's a new they've done and they're using certain platforms and putting out certain pieces of content that people love.
Yeah.
I thought you would have said like we read a page or something, but like full novels is like
crazy, right? I mean, that's
awesome.
Sort of a big, audacious goal.
Can you imagine the person that pitched that? Or like, we're going to read novels through Instagram stories, and the people were like, "You are high, my friend. I don't know what you were on, but I don't know how this is going to work." And now a year later, they're like, "Yeah, I told them to start that. I knew that was
exactly."
So what are your three favorite tools like that you use, like software wise? Like, so, I mean, because there's always like Grammarly and there's some, we've had some in the past.
Yeah.
What are your software tools that you're like, listen, I mean, I don't know if I could live life without these three.
Wow, just three. I would say,
I know, right?
I know, right? So one that we use day in and day out, this isn't super sexy, but I think it's a valuable tool. It's Asana, just Asana, Asana. We use it for project management. And the way our company's structured, my husband's also my business partner. He quit his corporate job a couple years ago. So we're in this together. And then we have three people who work for us virtually. So small team, small but mighty, but using Asana helps tremendously. And when you bring it back to content marketing, at the risk of having a cliche, it's literally a game changer. It's made a huge difference. And so anytime we have a big piece of content like our weekly videos or my weekly podcasts or webinars, those all get put into Asana. They all get broken up into very specific tasks, especially with distribution, right? We talked about this earlier. How do you take one piece of content and slice and dice it 12, 15, 20 different ways? Well, you break it up into tasks, right? You break it up into bite-sized pieces. So Asana for sure. I love that. And then there's other great tools that are out there that will do that, but we've been using that for a few years. I also have been really obsessed lately with later.com.
Yeah.
I use that primarily for Instagram and later.com. There's lots of tools out there that will do this for Instagram, but I just really like Later. It's super simple. It's great for scheduling some of our content. Not that I believe in scheduling everything, but I think certain pieces, it helps to sort of get a plan in place, obviously, and have some things that are scheduled or they're in the queue. I love that you can reuse content with Later. A lot of people, when it comes to Instagram, they post something once and they never post it again, which I think is crazy. If you post a piece of evergreen content today, why can't you repost it on Instagram in 3 months? I'm not going to remember that you posted it,
Yeah.
And so a lot of our content, we'll upload into Later, and then we'll post once, we'll schedule it again in 3 months, we'll schedule it again in 6 months, depending on what the content is. So those are two big things. Third tool, what could I not live without? I would say the other big thing is YouTube, to be honest with you. I mean, YouTube, when we first started getting on YouTube, you mentioned your brother Justin. YouTube used to just be the place where we would throw our videos. It used to just be like the library, right?
Yeah.
And we'd never look at it. They would get really dusty, and we've really invested a lot of time and resources over the last 2 years in learning YouTube. It's very different than Facebook and Instagram, and it's for us. It's really helped to build our community. It's helped us reach people that never knew us before. It has helped drive people to our email list, drive people to our academy, and it's turned into so many different things. And so it's been really fascinating to kind of see that slow burn. I don't have millions of subscribers, but I'm very proud of the few thousand that we have or whatever we're at right now. So
staying consistent.
Yeah. YouTube's been amazing, and especially with our Instagram growth. I'll just say this also. We've been really focused on growing Instagram because of just the attention that the people seem to be focusing on Instagram. A lot of our clients are on
Yeah.
Instagram. And there's a little bit of this like symbiotic relationship between Instagram and YouTube.
Oh, for sure.
For example, if we have a video, we post a 1-minute clip on Instagram, and linking the full video to YouTube, it's just a much better experience, right? Than saying go to our website or go to Facebook. Like it's one click. And if it's more than that for people, then it's, they're out of there. So
Too much. Yeah.
we've seen that be really successful.
That's awesome. So I'm good friends with the guys over at Later. We've done
Nice.
some good stuff. Yeah, some PR stuff for them, stuff like that. Matt, those guys doing an awesome job over there. So it's kind of cool to hear you to talk about them. They've got a phenomenal platform over there.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
It's simple. I also love with Later that a lot of what you can do is just right on your computer, on your desktop.
Yeah.
Which I think for some people, it's just, sometimes it's a little clunky to do everything on Instagram with your phone. So, you can save hashtags, which is great. Like, I should be like an ambassador for them or something.
That's
I'm
it.
a huge fan.
I'll reach out to Matt. I'll let him know for sure.
Okay.
And so if you could give like one piece of advice for like aspiring content marketers, like what would it be? If you could tell, Katie 20 years ago, if somebody whispered in your ear and said, hey, Katie, you should look at this. What would the one thing that you could give to the aspiring marketer or content marketer that's listening to the podcast right now?
I would say if I could give any kind of advice, it would be don't doubt yourself. Don't wait. I think especially if you're listening to this and you're someone, maybe you're younger, or maybe you're in your 20s or whatever, and you think, oh, who am I? I'm just like, I don't have a lot of life experience, or I don't have a lot of business experience. Like, you know what? You have more than you know. And I think especially for someone who is in college or just finishing college or just kind of beginning their journey, you are at such an amazing place right now. I mean, I probably sound old saying this, but thinking about where social media and technology and content marketing is right now compared to where it was 20 years ago, there's so many opportunities. And I would just say start now. If you're listening to this and you want to get into content marketing, don't wait for someone to give you a job. Like start now with whatever, what is it that you love? Like, do you love comic books? Do you love cats? Do you love, like, what do you love? And Gary Vaynerchuk is famous for talking about this. It's like, what are you passionate about? And start there and be your own best, kind of case study and create content, create videos, create, graphics. And if you really want to go into that world of content marketing, which I think is awesome. I mean, I'm a little biased because I'm living it, it's a great place to be. Give yourself that experience. Don't wait for someone else to give it to you.
Yeah, I think that's the key. It's like, what do you enjoy doing, right? And and then it doesn't feel like a job. And then hopefully you can turn that into something, whether it be freelance work or something like that, or do an internship or something like that.
Yeah.
So you touched on Gary Vee a little bit. Are there any other marketers or anybody that you follow that you're inspired by or you get inspiration from? Is there anybody out there that you're like, man, I can't get enough of this person?
Gosh, there's there's a couple. I follow Social Media Examiner a lot. I think those guys are doing some great stuff. Michael Stelzner. I've been to a lot of their events. I've spoken at some of their events, and I think they bring together just really such a great high caliber group of people and educators.
For sure.
So follow them a lot. I also really enjoy following Darren Hardy. He's the producer of Success Magazine or founder of Success Magazine, and it's really amazing to see how he's developed his brand as well through all the different mediums that he has with, texting and audio and podcasts and videos and all the content he's putting out there. And one of the things he said a long time ago, I heard him speak, that really stuck to me as an entrepreneur. He said, as an entrepreneur, what do you do that when you do it, it makes it rain? And that really spoke to me because I think sometimes as an entrepreneur, we do everything, right? We're like, I can wear like 65 different hats. And as we have grown our business, I always think about, what is it that I do that really makes it rain? I can do a lot of stuff, but do I need to be doing all those other things, or should I just focus on the big stuff that brings in the business, brings in the revenue? So yeah, those would probably be a few folks that I look at.
I mean, that's the thing. And we always tell our clients this too. It's like, not only the stuff that makes it rain, but what do you enjoy doing, right? Out of the 10 things you do, or let's say after you're an entrepreneur, 100 things you do on a daily basis. Yeah. And if you hate accounting, there's somebody that loves accounting that can work part-time for you, right? Like, you have to look at that. Like, what do you enjoy when you wake up? You go, wow, if I need to bring in revenue, this is what I need to do. And that's where you should be, not over here figuring out something else that you could pay somebody nominal amounts or have an intern or have somebody do. It's really because that's what I think we've done this over the years. I mean, now I look at like, what am I good at doing? Yeah. Like for me, I mean, I'm good at sales and some other stuff, and speaking and all the fun stuff. But for me, it's like, I'm really good at shaking hands and kissing babies and chat with people and doing that. So I need to do more of that. Right. So that's where the podcast come about, the speaking events and all that. Yeah. I enjoy that. And so that's where it brings the most value for the companies because I'm out there as a thought leader and doing the things that we're doing. So
Yeah.
I think it's awesome that you look at it that way. It's like what really brings, what makes it rain. I like that's kind of a good little saying.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good reminder, because I think it's easy to get kind of pushed into the, I don't know, not minutia, but just it's easy to kind of get caught up in all the stuff and to really think about what are some areas of opportunity that I could either hand off to someone else or outsource or maybe let go of too. I think it's easy as you go down this road of entrepreneurship to just kind of always do the same thing as you've always done it. But, if it's not working, maybe there's an opportunity to change it or make it better,
Yeah, I think it's important to have those hip checks and I actually had that with a client here just recently that, we've been working together for a long time and I just don't know if they're getting that much value out of the relationship and neither are we. And just not as it used to be. And so it's, you kind of go down that route. And I think it's, you hopefully come to a situation where it's going to be a mutual breakup and hopefully we can still hang out sometime. But if it doesn't make sense for both sides, there's no reason to force it. So, So what other cool projects you got going on? Because I know you guys are always working on some cool stuff over there. I know you guys got that small but mighty team over there. What else? Are you working on a second book? Anything fun that you got in the mix?
Well, we've got coming up, we started last year doing masterminds. So we started putting together mastermind events with just a small group of people. And our next mastermind is coming up in October of this year. We're taking it to Vegas, which is kind of exciting. We've rented out a big suite at the Bellagio and we're trying to have some fun with it. But it had been on my heart for a long time to do events. And I'm very cautious about doing events because, I've been to a lot of events. I know you've probably been to a lot of events. It's a huge undertaking.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to try to do something a little bit different. And so we put together sort of these small focus groups where we only have 10 to 15 people. And it's really geared for someone who's like ready to take their business to that next level. And, we're all kind of in a big suite and, it's not a boardroom. It's not a big ballroom. We don't have sponsors. There's no sales pitch at the end. And it's, basically 4 days where we really dive deep into, it's primarily agents and brokers in real estate, figuring out their social media plan. And by the end of the mastermind, they walk away with their 12-month plan, locked and loaded, and just, roll up their sleeves and get some work done. I think we've all gone to events where we get motivated and then nothing happens. So we wanted to try to create something a little bit different. So we're excited about that. We're just going to probably do that once a year. So it's a big undertaking, but we'll see where that goes. And then, probably at some point I would like to write another book. So that's been kind of percolating. I'd like to update my first book too. So we'll see. There's lots of things that, percolating up here. always something, right? It's funny. We started doing workshops on the influencer side of things. And I tell you, it isn't a big undertaking. We did one in San Francisco and we had about 35, Amazon was there and we had some really big brands. Yeah. That was a huge undertaking, but I'll tell you that more intimate workshop type deal and the conversations you have, it's so much different than a conference experience because we're grinding it out. We have a workbook and we're going through stuff and they're asking questions and doing this. And it's like, by the end of it, when I have the guy from Amazon that comes up and he says, "Oh my God, this was super epic." And I'm like, "Do you work at Amazon?" Like in my mind, I was blown. The content's good, but when they come up to you afterwards and go, "Man, this was insane. We need this." And I'm like, "Wow, that's awesome." It's kind of like, like when you don't think about it, but it's like, man, 4 days of doing that. Whoever signs up for that is going to have, that's like 4 days is going to be epic. That's super awesome. Yeah, we're excited. It'll be fun. We've done 2 so far. So we feel like we're getting into a good groove,
And the good cadence going, good deal. Well, let us know when that happens. I'd love to help you promote that as well.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
So what else? I know you talked about the kids and, they keep you moving and shaking with stuff on the weekends, but when you're not working, what else do you enjoy doing?
My husband and I love to travel. I would say we probably haven't traveled as much, just with kids and stuff, but love the beach. That's probably why I love California. We just actually got back from a pretty epic vacation. We took a cruise to Alaska, which was so much fun. That was like a bucket list item to take a cruise, but also go to Alaska. And so that was a lot of fun. We did a Disney cruise, which, we're kind of big Disney fans also. I'm kind of a Disney nerd. So that was super fun to do that. And I love to read. We actually converted our living room to a reading room because I love reading. I just found like I never really had time to read and life happens and everything. There's so much going on. So just trying to focus more on that, especially with our kids. I feel like, you're the best example of that. So if I can show my kids that, we try to have that room be sort of a device-free room. Doesn't always happen.
I know how that goes.
So, and then just, being outdoors and stuff. We live in the Bay Area. Usually the weather's pretty beautiful, although right now it's hot.
Yeah.
But just being outside and enjoying the great weather that we have in California. We're very lucky.
Yeah. We are. It's a little more expensive sometimes, but I'd tell you there's nothing like it. I'm like, I'll pay a little more money to live in an area that's always beautiful and having fun.
Exactly.
So what would you do, like, if you didn't have to work? Like, what would you do? I mean, it sounds like you'd probably be traveling with the kids and doing a lot of the same stuff. If money wasn't a factor, sounds like that's probably what you'd be doing. Out and probably get an RV or something. Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of this country I'd love to see. I mean, there's so many great things in the U.S. and probably do a little travel abroad. And we love Hawaii, so I'd probably spend some time in Maui, with a pina colada,
Man.
Yeah, I would say travel and probably just spend, if money wasn't an issue, I would say spend more time doing some, things where we could give back. I would say that's probably an area of opportunity in our life we would like to do more of. And, I just think it's the battle of the busies. There's only so many hours in the day, but we would like to at some point figure out a way to, give back or do some volunteer work or, maybe mentor some other folks. I think on a small level, I try to do that now. I have a lot of times, entrepreneurs or people who are thinking of becoming entrepreneurs, they'll reach out to me and, want to take me to coffee or pick my brain or whatever. And I'm like, sure, let's hop on the phone for a little bit. And, I think you always can benefit from helping other people. If you can kind of turn around and go like, who's up and coming? Who can I help give kind of a boost? I think that's important. So awesome. I'd probably do more of that too.
See, it's funny. I used to do a lot of that, and I had to cut back a little bit because my wife's like, so you had 10 meetings then? I'm like, yeah. And it's like, just all helping people out. Yeah. And I'm like, is that going to pay the bills? Yeah, probably not. I mean, it makes it sound like my wife is rough. She's not. But it's just like, I was always like, I had a company called Hot Pad, and I used to just, somebody would be like, oh, I got terrible back pain. I have this, I have that. And I'm like, I'm just going to send them a free one. And my wife's like, so at what point do you, and I feel like they really need it and they can't afford it, I'm going to send it. So, it's, like I said, it's kind of funny when you look at that full circle. It's like, I got to cut back to helping out just a little bit to be able to do some of the other stuff that pays the bills.
Yeah, exactly. It's a little bit of a balance.
Yeah, it always is. Everything's a balance, right?
Yeah.
If there was one random fact that you could tell our audience, either it can be personal or business related, is there any one fact that you're like, people didn't know this about me or my business or personal? Like, what's that one thing? Is there any one thing that you think the audience would be like, I had no idea?
One thing. I think some people who know me really well know this, and I'm a little embarrassed to admit this, but I'm a huge Hello Kitty fan.
Really? Hello Kitty?
Huge. Yeah, like I have a whole thing in my office, like, and I think part of it is I don't have any girls. Like I'm the only girl in our house, right? So
you're gonna hold on to that.
Yeah, like here we go. I've got like a little notebook here. Hello Kitty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have to answer this. Do you have a Hello Kitty tattoo?
I don't, but if I were to have a tattoo, that would probably be what it is.
Okay, I had a feeling. I just wanted to throw that out there. I didn't want to get too personal, but I figured that would probably be where your weakness. If somebody said, hey, I want to get a tattoo, I want to pay for your tattoo, you'd be like, Hello Kitty, let's go knock this thing out.
Exactly. That's probably what it would be.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Katie, this was awesome. Once again, you have a great personality and a great rapport. And I tell you, this was an awesome interview. I thank you so much for taking the time today. And if anybody needs to get in contact with you, like how can they get in contact with you?
Probably the best way is just through my website. So just go to katielance.com, KatieLance, katielance.com. And we've got lots of free resources. You can connect with me there. I've got an email newsletter you can sign up for if you want to get some tips and tricks and strategies. And then all of our social media handles are there. And I'm pretty much Katie Lance on just about every social media platform. So
that's awesome.
Google me and you'll find
me. Yeah, for sure. Well, Katie, you have an awesome day. Thank you once again for the interview.
Thank you so much, Shane.
All right. Talk soon.